RVBN, the Rich Video Blog Network, Billerica, Massachusetts, home of top 10 list of everything and anything, great personality profiles, weekly NFL predictions, sports, news, weather, professional wrestling, and a whole lot more. Tune in to the RVBN video blogs, the only video blog out there that talks about anything. Good afternoon, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Google+. This is Rich again, back for your second video blog of the day for Sunday, October 2nd, 2016, around 4:09 in the afternoon, Billerica, Massachusetts. Still cloudy out today, right now. Some sprinkles, but nothing significant. Stamped dreary day, about 54 degrees in Billerica, Massachusetts. Going to be like this tomorrow, but Tuesday the sun comes out and temperature will be in the 60s and a warming trend. Maybe we'll reach 70 by Friday. And Hurricane Matthew might not come up the East Coast into next Sunday. But wait and see about that, because these hurricanes so far out, the track could change, just like in nor'easters. All important forecast changes will occur with this one. Some news to report on the RVBN Newswire. Happy Rosh Hashanah for all my Jewish viewers out there. So that's the Jewish New Year. The Boston Red Sox have announced that no other player is ever going to wear number 34 again. The Red Sox are retiring David Ortiz's number next season. And the Buffalo Bills beat the New England Patriots by the score of 16-0. This is the first time the Patriots have been shut out at home since 1993. The Patriots looked absolutely horrendous and horrible and disgusting. But Tom Brady's suspension's over. He's coming back next Sunday against the Browns. That's about it from the RVBN Newswire. Be back in a flash. You could advertise on the Rich Video Blog. Get your business out there. Or a promo, or a shout out, or a plug. Send it, private message me, and your request will be answered. I'm back. My second video blog subject of the day is about the former IHL, the International Hockey League. The International Hockey League was around from 1945 through 2001, and it was basically a minor league hockey system, which they had a lot of teams based out of the Midwest part of the United States. Eventually in the 90s, they expanded to major cities to try to compete with the NHL. They even went into some cities that had NHL teams, but that was the demise of the IHL. IHL started in 1945 with 4 teams. 2 of them were in the greater Detroit area, and 2 of them were across the river in Windsor, Ontario, Canada. And for the first few years, the IHL was basically a minor league hockey league, which was first semi-pro. They expanded to cities like Toledo, Ohio, and a lot of cities in the Midwest, including Milwaukee, Indianapolis, Chicago area, and so much others. And the quality of the International Hockey League was kind of on par with a couple of other minor leagues, the AHL and the CHL, Central Hockey League. And for years, the IHL expanded all over the place into like the eastern part of the Midwest, Pennsylvania. They had a few teams in Columbus, Ohio, Cincinnati, and St. Louis, and Madison, Wisconsin, among others. But like with most minor hockey leagues, many teams would would fold or move or just bounce around. Few teams were suspended operations for a couple of years, but they came back. And they even expanded into Canada a couple of times. But the Canadian expansion didn't last too long. And the IHL's championships were the Turner Cup. And the IHL continued to be like competitive with the AHL. Sometime in the late 1970s, early 1980s, the IHL expanded to add teams in the western part of the United States, including Dallas and Denver and Omaha, Nebraska, and Phoenix, and among others, because they bought the rights to the Central Hockey League, which folded in the early 1980s. And the IHL was like a kind of a league where they could travel by bus, but with it being all over the United States, they just had to fly, use like airplanes, and that cost them a lot of money. But those teams were very successful in those markets, so the IHL decided to go big time. They had teams in major U.S. cities like Atlanta, Kansas City, San Diego, San Francisco, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Indianapolis, and they still kept the towns that were small markets like Fort Wayne, Kalamazoo, Michigan, Western Michigan. They expanded to Cleveland, Ohio, Cincinnati they had, and so many other cities. They even went to cities that lost NHL teams, which included Quebec City and Winnipeg, and they even added teams in suburban Detroit and suburban Chicago and Long Beach, which was a suburb of Los Angeles. And they talked about even going into they went into Houston. They were talking about maybe going into like suburban New York City and even suburban Boston, the IHL. And that team, all of the IHL teams had like a salary cap, which was a soft cap of about $2 million, plus they got kind of exposure on television in the mid-1990s with the fledgling Fox Sports networks. They had a Game of the Week on there, which got decent ratings. But the NHL really did not like the IHL expanding into some of their territory. And at one time, the IHL had like a working relationship with the NHL by IHL teams having affiliates with the NHL, but that really stopped when they were invading their cities, and the NHL decided to have a better working relationship with the AHL, and they pulled out of sending players to the IHL, and it was a subsidiary to keep these IHL teams afloat. Plus, the IHL was looking for $8 million in expansion fees during the 1990s, and many IHL teams during the late 1990s folded because they lost NHL affiliations and they couldn't keep up with it. Attendance at some of these IHL cities were pretty good, but the smaller cities like Fort Wayne and Flint, Michigan, and Kalamazoo, and a couple of other cities dropped down to lower minor league hockey leagues because they could not like compete in the like IHL. And the IHL at its peak had 18 teams in the mid-1990s, but many teams just dropped out, folded, or whatever. And there were lots of rumors going around that the IHL was going to be bought out by the AHL, but those rumors did not come true. But the IHL was continuing to hemorrhage money. Some of these IHL teams had gimmicks just to keep their teams going, like the Detroit franchise in 1997 had Gordie Howe play a shift for them. that got the attendance at the Palace of Alvin Hill sold out. And other IHL teams used gimmicks like that, but they were just like, the novelty wore thin. And in 2001, the IHL, after 56 years in business, folded because all the teams were losing so much money due to travel expenses and no affiliation with the NHL. Only like 3 or 4 NHL teams had affiliations with the IHL when it folded, and 6 of the IHL teams, Chicago, Grand Rapids, Houston, Milwaukee, Utah, and a couple of others, were admitted into the AHL for their expansion in 2001. And the other teams like Kansas City couldn't go in because of they had a conflict of interest. Orlando dropped down to another league. A couple of teams like Cleveland and Detroit folded, but Cleveland was given an AHL existing team. And the IHL was probably, a decent hockey league, and it was, they tried to go big time and stuff, and they tried to kind of have mainly its final years kind of like independent hockey, which is not affiliated with the NHL. They have independent baseball leagues, which sometimes fly, but an independent hockey league really doesn't fly that much. And that's about it on the IHL. I'll be back with the third and final video blog on night, which will be about the top 10 list of the greatest top athletes in San Francisco history. Keep calm, everybody. I'm a Julie Bunny guy. Molly Osblad, WCCO accent is nice like Elizabeth Hart, so stunning, she's the best. Amy Sweezy's awesome Amy. Linda Church of WPIX Channel 11 New York, such a rocking cougar, and has the best luck in New York City. And Bobby Gives of ABC 11 has a sweet southern accent. Have a good day, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Google+.